September 16th to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Member Krajewski,
Here.
Member Martinez. Here. Member Covert. Here. Member Ozark.
Here.
Vice Chair you. Here. Chair Tornator.
Here, we have a quorum. Nothing under chairman's remarks. Public comment. Public comment is limited to 30 minutes, 3 minutes per person. We have someone signed up who is indicating their desire for public comment. I think it is on item 7F, the Dagenheimer petition, and if that person is here, would you, you have 3 minutes, or if you'd like to comment?
I live at 2209 College Road. I have a 300 by 150 foot lot. I'd like to divide it, make 2 lots of 20,500 square feet each. We're on septic. If there's an issue, there's been a number of homes within 300 feet of my property that have less than 22,500 square feet that are on septic. So it's not like I'm looking to do anything new. My wife used to take care of the yard, and she's been in assisted living now, a memory care unit for the last 3 years. And if I can sell the side yard, it would be certainly a benefit financially and ease some of the pressure that I've been under. That's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. And that concludes the public comment portion of the meeting. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of September 2nd.
Second.
Any additions, corrections, or deletions? Hearing none, saying none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody besides Mary, this is a
I got it.
all those minutes are approved. Moving on to item 6, I'll entertain a motion to receive and place on file informational items 6A and 6B, 25-2199 GRP home certificate 25-1 certification for a new group home for those 55 years of age or older at 18 West 750 18th Street in Lombard. And item 6B, 25-2200 GRP home cert 25-2, a certification of a new group home for those 55 years of age or older located at 1 South 561 Stewart Avenue in Lombard. Their motion is, anyone move? Second. Any additions or any questions rather on this item? Yes, I'm forward.
Thank you, Chair. Just a really quick question. I did see that no more than 8 people plus up to 2 staff members could be in the home. I saw the home. I'm not sure what the square footage is, but would that be enough square footage for all these people?
Yes. There is no minimum require, there's no maximum requirement or minimum requirement in the building code for a home other than I think like 110 square feet for a bedroom. So we don't require that they meet a certain square footage in the home. These are treated as similar to our definition of family, but if under the Federal Fair Housing Act, if you have a disability or are over the age of 55, we recognize these group homes similar to the family. So there is no minimum requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The items are received and placed on file. We got item 7A. I'll entertain a motion to approve ECO 38-25. Zoning 2511. Zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a variation to reduce the rear yard setback from 25 feet to approximately 19.2 feet for an existing detached garage. There's a motion.
Second.
Any questions, comments on this item? All is in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The item is approved. I'll entertain a motion to approve ECO 39-25, zoning 2532. Zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a variation to reduce the rear yard setback for a new house addition 25 feet to approximately 11.35 feet. Do you have a motion? Second. Motion and second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 40-25, zoning 2547. Zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a variation to reduce the corner side yard setback 30 feet to approximately 14 feet for a new pool.
Second.
Any questions, comments on this item? Yes, Vice Chair you.
So I think there was an objection by the city of Addison or Village of Addison, and I was just wondering if I could get some explanation as to why they were having a problem with this, because they said this was a corner house.
So in the Village of Addison, they have a setback requirement that this would not meet. There are properties on the east side of the road that are in the village of Addison, that are Addison Trail High School. But all the residential properties on the west side of the road are still in the unincorporated. There's a few properties further to the north that are in Addison. But they objected just basically on the technical grounds that this would not meet their setback requirement and would require zoning relief in the village of Addison, which is
Okay.
what we're going through.
And this actually stated that it was because of septic issues that they had to do this pool over here at this particular location, right?
The septic is in the backyard or the north west side of their property and encumbers the entire backyard.
Right.
So the only place where they could actually put a pool would be in the setback. One of the mitigating circumstances for the zoning hearing officer was that there is a 6 foot tall solid fence along the corner side yard. So even with the pool coming closer to the corner side property line, it's screened from the adjacent roadways and adjacent properties by the fence. And there's no other place to put the pool because of the septic system.
Thank you.
Paul, because, is this a formal objection from Addison?
It is not a formal objection, and even if it were, it wouldn't trigger a supermajority vote because it's a variation. Though that only kicks in for rezonings or map amendments.
Resign, okay, just want to make sure.
One quick question.
Yes, sure.
Is there a possibility of Addison wanting to annex the property, or are they contiguous, or?
They are contiguous, there's a slight possibility of a forced annexation. I believe the contiguous area is less than 60 acres, which is the requirement of the statute. But historically, the cities are not interested in annexing properties where there aren't any problems, and because they'd have to take care of the roadways, they'd have to police it. So it's unlikely that they would annex.
That really wasn't the issue. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second to approve this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 41-25 zone 25-2. Zoning Board of Appeals recommendation to approve a variation of a line adult use cannabis dispensing organization within 1,500 feet from a pre-existing public and private nursery school, preschool, primary,
Second.
secondary school. This motion in a second. Any questions, comments on this? Member Colbert?
Thank you. Sure. Just a couple of questions. Were there any objections by the mosque, the Islamic Center of Addison, and did they know, do they know about this dispensary being?
Islamic Society of Addison, which is located southwest of the subject property, did not put an objection in. They were made aware of it. I went to the property to verify that there was a school there. There is a school, and there's also a daycare facility there. The school generally operates in the summertime. The daycare is more of a weekend care. They both technically meet the zoning requirements of schools and daycare. So I made them aware they had no objections to me or at the public hearing.
And it has to be within 1,500 feet. Dispensaries have to be within 1,500 feet.
Dispensaries have to be 1,500 feet or further away than protected uses, schools, daycare facilities, and religious institutions. And technically, the property line of the integrated shopping center where the cannabis dispensary would be located and the property line of the Islamic Society of Addison is 1,300. But from the tenant space within the shopping center to the property line is 1,700 feet. So beyond the requirement. And from building to building is that it's even further away.
Okay.
And there's many land uses, including wetlands, a 200-foot strip of Commonwealth Edison right of way with above power lines, Walmarts, two principal arterial roadways that provide buffers between the actual location and these other protected uses.
Okay, and I'm assuming there's a road between, well, obviously
Well-
there's a road between the dispensary and the mosque.
There are
The-
two roads. There's Lake Street, limited access highway, carries about 45,000 movements a day. And then Route 53, which is a principal arterial state roadway that carries about 35,000 movements a day. So there's a lot of practical buffers, irrespective of the distance requirement, practical distance requirement between the dispensary and these facilities. The other thing important to know is that by state law, dispensaries cannot have any activities outside, and you can't advertise either through writing or through graphic depiction, any signs of marijuana or cannabis on the outside of the building. So we can't put a cannabis plant up or indicate that it's a marijuana facility.
Or like a cartoon-like figure for children.
Okay, yeah, and anything related to cannabis, any items that might be used in, dispensing or ingesting cannabis cannot be on the outside of the building.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carried. We'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 42-25, zoning 2555. Zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a variation to increase the heat height for the detached accessory building from permitted 15 feet to approximately 18 feet.
Second.
Is there a motion?
Yeah.
Motion and second. Any questions, comments? Vice Chair, you.
Thank you, Chair. So I did have a question about how this is hardship, or what practically is the issue. So I understand it's just 3 feet, but I couldn't understand why they need this variation. I mean, so basically they said that they had already started construction of the detached garage that was framed and wrapped to a height of 18 feet. So did they not know that there was a height restriction and they simply say they require additional height because they're restricted in their storage space in their existing home for household accessory items. So again, I don't know, if there's enough evidence for a practical difficulty.
So two things, the permit was issued inadvertently to allow it to go to 18 feet. When we discovered that it was 18 feet, we immediately put a stop work order on it. The building had already been constructed. They just were waiting to decide the outside. So 90% of the building had been construction. We put a stop work order, required them either to bring it down to the 15 feet as required by code or seek the zoning. They chose to seek the zoning relief for a couple of reasons. One, building was already built. Two, the zoning hearing officer found that the adjacent property to the west is Forest Preserve property. It's the corporate headquarters of the Forest Preserve, along with all the land that's associated with it, particularly the old in-ground horse racing. Ground horse racing area, open space of the Forest Preserve on the west side of Weaver Boulevard. So the zoning hearing officer felt that there was a unique circumstance that presented itself, that even though this building was higher than 15 feet, there would be no impact to the immediate adjacent property, or which is the Forest Preserve. So for that reason, it was approved. That's the unique circumstance. Hardship was that it was built under permit and stopped in the middle of
And
construction.
you said inadvertently a permit was issued. That was something that was not supposed to be issued.
On the application, on our application, there's the ability to indicate how high the structure is going to be. The applicant put 15 feet, which meets our code. The site plan, the drawings that were submitted show that it was actually higher than 15 feet, 18 feet. So we had a discrepancy in terms of what the application showed and what the drawings showed.
Yeah.
But to be clear, though, the petitioner still had to present hardship, practical difficulty, or unique circumstance. The zoning hearing officer felt that irrespective of the building permit being issued, there still was a unique circumstance in its location next to open space. The property is on a corner lot, so the property immediately to the east, the single family property immediately to the east, is the rear yard of the property behind it. So there were the zoning hearing officer felt there was no impact to adjacent properties or roadways.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So what are the alternatives that this resident has? I mean, what can they do
So-
and how, I mean, the cost would with this inadvertent mistake that happened? I mean, there's a cost to it.
Well, the alternative would be to bring the building down to meet the 15-foot setback. I'm sorry, to meet the 15-foot height requirement. If you look at the exhibits, I believe there's a picture exhibit that shows the structure. The structure is actually a slanted roof. So as it is adjacent to the north property line, the Forest Preserve property, it is actually at 15 feet, and as it goes from north to south, it slants upward to a height of 18 feet. So what the applicant would have simply done is taken the roof off and brought the height of the roof down to 15 feet. So it would have changed the construction elements of it, which would have been a cost to the property owner. By granting this variation, the petitioner would not have to do that. Once again, the impact on the adjacent property was, especially given the fact that at the north property line, which is closest to another property, the Forest Preserve, it is actually at 15 feet and then slightly moves up to 18 feet, as it slants further to the south towards the house.
Vice Chair, you?
Yeah, so my last question is, there is a letter in opposition to this by a neighbor, but these residents do not live right next door.
There is a letter from a neighbor, who is, I believe, 2 houses away. She is, the mother of the son who lives immediately adjacent to the property owner. Her objection was that, if this zoning relief would be granted, there could be a precedent set, for other property owners in the neighborhood to have detached accessory buildings higher than 15 feet. Now, that objector is acutely aware that there is another person in the neighborhood who's looking to put up an accessory dwelling unit to where they would increase the height of their detached building from 15 feet to something higher. So the objector's position was
The sliding slope.
was a concern about setting a precedent.
Yeah.
One of the things that the zoning hearing officer, the zoning board of appeal chairman say at every public hearing is that every single zoning case stands on its own merit. So no precedent can be set with approval or denial of a particular type of zoning relief.
I see. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Again, item 7 up. Entertain a motion to approve DCO 43-25 zoning 2556. Zoning hearing officer's recommendation to deny variation to reduce the required lot size for 2 new lots. Service with water and septic from 40,000 square foot each to approximately 22,500 square feet for lot 1 and 22,500 for lot 2. Zoning hearing officer's recommendation here was to deny. The motion to approve was in the affirmative. Was there a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Any questions, comments? Paul, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, say what, just didn't think there was enough hardship
So
at the hearing?
the petitioner was pro se, for lack of a better term. He had no counsel or planners that assisted him. So his application was lacking in the burden of proof for hardship, practical and unique circumstance. In a similar manner that you heard testimony, or not testimony, but comments today, the petitioner indicated that he has some personal issues and some financial issues, and that was the predominant testimony at the public hearing. The zoning hearing officer felt that, well, not felt, but has determined that he can't use financial hardship as a reason to grant the zoning relief. And that was the only testimony and evidence that was presented in the public hearing. So effectively, the hearing officer was put in a trick bag because there was no real testimony about hardship, practical difficulty with the land.
And that's something we run into it all the time is that, some of the people whose situations, would normally get it just, they don't get the coaching they need. Or they're forced to go hire the high-powered attorney, you pay a lot of money, because we'll put it all in evidence. Because I know that some of them, the blocks are still 22.5. Right, I mean, down the streets, we've got the same thing.
Well, a couple of things is that the petitioner did after the fact submit, during the zoning hearing, the petitioner submitted a petition from 14 immediate adjacent neighbors saying they didn't object. There was one neighbor that objected who was immediately adjacent that was concerned about stormwater and health issues, which would be reconciled as part of any building permit issue. The petitioner did submit after the fact, which could not be considered by the zoning hearing officer, a document that shows that the majority of properties to the north, east, and west of the subject property are less than 20,000 square feet. In fact, the properties immediately across the street to the east are around 10 to 15,000 square feet in size. And once again, the only real new development in this area is townhouses in the village of Downers Grove, which is even further dense than what is being proposed here.
And those houses that are less than 20,000 square feet are unincorporated.
Unincorporated, yes. Some are served on septic and well. Some have sewer and water from the village of Downers Grove. The subject property has water, but will be on septic. But there are the majority of lots in the neighborhood are less than 20,000 square feet. Many of them are still on septic and well, some septic and water.
I mean, I know.
And just for the record, economic hardship is generally not considered, or economic issues aren't considered a hardship.
Correct, and that is advice that we have received through council over the years.
And I know in Downers Grove, they also look at the uniqueness of the neighborhood. So when they have their 75-foot zoning lots size, but most of the neighborhoods are 60 or 50, they grant the, so they looked at it, and this is right adjoining to it. I mean, I don't know, is the ability to maybe pull the application before next week's hearing and resubmit the hardship, because it seems like this thing shouldn't, honestly.
Yeah, that was my question too, procedurally, can they amend or can they resubmit this? Because I feel like there's many good reasons to grant this.
They can, that would be an option from the petitioner. Petitioner wanted to move forward, but certainly we can discuss that with the petitioner. There's many things you could do today. If the appetite is to approve this and it goes to county board next week, it would require a supermajority vote because it is a recommendation to deny. You could table it, and I could certainly have a conversation with the petitioner about bringing it back to the zoning board or zoning hearing.
I'll make a motion to table.
Okay, let's take it. We'll adjust for a second here. Any other questions on the underlying motion? Okay, so
I'm gonna vote for it, but I mean, I don't know if it goes next week. We'll see what happens when it gets to the
the
hearing.
only downside at this point to approving it today would be it would require a 3/4 vote at the county board meeting. However, if it's tabled and the petitioner has an appetite, bring it back to the zoning hearing officer and it's approved, then it could be approved here and it wouldn't require a supermajority. Okay, so the motion to table is in order to give me a date certain, next development meeting. When is zoning hearing officer's next opportunity to hear this?
Yeah, we could hold a hearing, meeting at any time, provided that we have a 15-day notice in the newspaper and notice to neighbors. I will tell you one other additional thing that's important for this board is that you may recall that we brought to you over the last several months, several text amendments, which we've already gone through. We have a text amendment going through the zoning board of appeals right now that would allow in the R3 and the R4 zoning districts, the ability to have lot sizes on septic and well that are 20,000 square feet as opposed to the current total of 40,000 square feet. The petitioner was aware of that and wanted to move forward with his petition to be able to deal with some of his personal issues. But for parenthetically, for the board's consideration, the zoning board of appeals at their October recommendation meeting will consider a proposed text amendment to allow for 20,000 square foot lots on septic and well in R3 and R4 zoning districts, which will come to the committee in early October.
Okay, and since we don't have a second, your motion to table, all those other discussions still in order, so yeah.
Thank you. Would it be possible to maybe poll members and see what people?
I don't see why we can't. I think the other issue, maybe we should find out what the petitioner wanted to do, if they have any appetite to do it. Otherwise, the motion to table is kind of fruitless, so.
Yeah, I moved to table this.
Oh, it's already been a motion, but there hasn't been a second, so let's.
Spoke with the petitioner. He does not object to a table in discussion.
Okay, so we have an original motion, motion to table, a second by, you to, we don't, so do we have it? Can we come up with a date certain? Yeah, let's come up with a date certain.
Well, if you want to do a date certain,
I think we have to, don't we? Yeah, we have to do a date certain.
well, in theory, the date certain would be the next development committee meeting. But we might,
You won't be able to get before the zoning hearing officer, will you?
but he can request for a zoning meeting, which then we'd be bringing something completely different back to potential.
We can do it, see, no, I don't care, whatever, you do it. That's fine.
October 7th.
Next meeting.
October 7th? Okay, so we have, this good with you,
Yeah.
motion to table to October 2nd, there's a,
Second.
the 7th, there's a second, roll call, please.
Member Covert.
Aye.
Vice Chair Yu. Aye. Member Krajewski.
Aye.
Member Martinez.
Aye.
Member Ozark.
Aye.
Chair Tornatori.
Aye. And the item is tabled. Do we have any old business? Any new business? Hearing none, saying none, without objection, we're adjourned. Thank you all.